Hello, it has been a long time since I actually sat down and filmed a video. Life has been a little bit crazy. My mental health has not been the best. And I am back at uni now, doing uni full time. We're doing it all online, but it is, still a lot of hours a week. So yeah, and I have been prioritizing those two things, as I hope you'll understand. Yeah, I get very annoyed with myself because I want to make YouTube more of a priority, but I have to keep reminding myself that YouTube is something I've always wanted to do, and I think I'm going to want to do for a long time into the future. So it's okay if this is a long haul thing and I miss a few weeks. That doesn't mean that, I'm going to lose all of my engagement. I know that if I wanted better engagement that I should upload more consistently, but I have to remind myself why I'm doing this, and I'm really not doing this because I want thousands of followers. I'm doing this because I want to share meaningful content in a way that I hope inspires and engages you. And if that means videos less often, then that's fine. I'm trying not to churn out videos for the sake of it. I'm trying to make videos that I'm really proud of, and I just haven't had the time to sit down and do that. Well, let's be honest, the mental energy is what's really been lacking here, to sit down and do that. So anyway, hopefully on the day that you're watching this, it is my birthday, if I can get this all uploaded by tomorrow. And I thought I would do the really cliche thing and share with you 21 things I've learned in 21 years. I'm doing this partly just because I think it'll be really fun for me to look back and reflect on, but also these are all really valuable lessons that I've learned, so I'm hoping that you can take one or two of these lessons. These are the things that have really made an impact in my life, the lessons I've learned that have really changed how I am and how I do things. And I hope you can take inspiration from that, and I hope you learn a thing or two by watching this video. So without further ado, number one, happiness is a skill. There's a lot of debate online about whether happiness is a choice or not, and the kind of compromise that I've come to is believing that happiness is a skill, which essentially does mean that it's a choice, but basically it's just a really difficult choice, and it's something you have to practice, and it's something you have to get better at. When we're in a bad situation, we can't always choose to be happy, but there are things we can do to reduce how often we get into that situation. We can do things like exercise and yoga and eating well and spending time with friends, and all of these things kind of safeguard our happiness and mean that we're sad less often, and we can learn techniques and coping strategies for when we're in those bad situations to help pull ourselves out of them quicker and sooner. So while I don't think it's an absolute choice, and I do think there are times when, there's times when even I struggle when I'm lying in bed and I don't do anything, but I do think it's a skill, and I do think we can get better at being happy. There are lots of things you can do to improve how happy your life is. Number two, the main key to happiness is minimalism. When I was younger, I used to search Tumblr trying to find the answer to the universe, trying to work out what it is that was missing and why I was struggling with happiness and why I was struggling to be productive. And honestly, the answer is minimalism. The reason that minimalism is so fundamental to happiness is because the main thing with minimalism is learning to be content with what you have and to not constantly search for more. And learning contentedness will obviously bring us happiness, but minimalism can also make us happy in so many other ways. By removing all of the excess clutter from our lives, we can be more stress-free, and we can reduce our decision fatigue and so many other things like that. I started learning about minimalism when I was about 16, and I wish I'd learned about it sooner, and I wish I'd implemented it into my life more sooner. Just cannot recommend researching into minimalism enough. Number three, love is a verb. And this applies both to romantic relationships and also just to family and friendships. Your relationships really do get better the more time and energy you put into them. You can't just expect them to be magical. You really do have to put the work in. And therefore I think that also does mean that love is a choice, because you choose at the end of the day whether to put that effort in or not. But it's also a skill, like happiness. You can learn how to get better at putting time and energy into your relationships. You can learn how to do it more effectively, and you can learn how to read other people's love languages and what makes them feel loved. So yeah, it's a skill. It does require a bit of patience. You get better at it, but it does require you to put time and effort into it. Number four, comparison is the thief of joy, which is a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, but it's very true. We are all on our own paths, on our own journeys. We have our own timelines and our own goals. Comparing yourself to other people is rarely a good thing to do. Number five, therapy is never a waste of money. I have spent an insane amount of money on therapy this year so far. We're talking hundreds of pounds, soon to be close to 1,000. And I don't think I'm ever going to regret it, is what I'm going to say. I went to my university and asked them for support, and I specifically told them that what I was after was psychotherapy, because I'd had that in the past. and I knew that that was what I wanted, and they basically told me that if I wanted that I would have to pay for it myself, and I am just so grateful that I am privileged enough to be able to afford that, to be able to, you know, skip all the waiting queues, to actually get the therapy I want, to get high quality therapy. I'm aware that so many people don't have that, and I am so grateful, and I'm aware how lucky I am to have that. But yeah, I think we should, you know, everyone should have access to that despite their income. But also, if you are debating whether therapy is worth the money or not, it is always worth the money. Number 6, clubbing can actually be really good fun. When I came to university, I was very apprehensive about going clubbing. I just had all these stereotypes in my head of what a night out would look like, and that really didn't appeal to me. I'm kind of a quiet introvert person more than I'm extroverted. But what I learned was that clubbing doesn't have to be this extreme thing. You don't have to like stay out till 4 a.m. and get wildly drunk and make out with strangers. You can just go with your friends and dance in a circle and get tipsy. For me, this was a lesson in learning that not everything has to be black or white or like one or the other. I can still really enjoy it and just do it in moderation. I think I would just want to remind other people who are in the same situation as me, where you're like curious about clubbing and you want to go out and try it, but you're not this wild party person. I want to assure you that it can be really good fun and that you should give it a chance, and give it multiple chances. You know, try different things, different places, go with different people. Yeah, it can be really good fun, and you've just got to learn what works for you. And as I say, you don't have to go wild. You can just do it in moderation, and that is absolutely fine. Number 7, the thing about courage, it is something we have to learn and relearn our whole lives. It is not just in you, it's in every choice you make every day. Which is a quote from Nim's Island, the kids' film. But if you know me, you'll know I have this thing about courage. When I came across the word courage when I was about 15, it really resonated with me. I was going through a difficult time and I was scared of basically everything, and learning about the idea of courage assured me that, like, even though I was scared of stuff, it didn't mean I couldn't do it, and it didn't mean I shouldn't do it. And that really helped me to like challenge loads of my fears, and I would go out and do things that I was scared of using courage. But the bigger lesson, I think, has been that courage is not something we learn once and then we have for the rest of our lives. So just because I was courageous when I was 15, it didn't mean that I was then going to be courageous for the rest of my life. And coronavirus especially has impacted this, because obviously I've not done that much in the last year, and I feel like it's had a big impact on how courageous I feel. I feel a lot less brave now because I just don't challenge myself to go out and conquer fears as often. But this quote is a reminder, you know, that courage is something you can learn and relearn. Just because you're brave once, it doesn't mean you're never going to be scared again. You have to keep challenging that. And also, it's reminded me this year that just because I don't feel very courageous at the moment, it doesn't mean that I can never learn it again in my life. You know, hopefully when we have a bit more normality in the world, I can challenge myself to go out and do more things that scare me again. And that will be absolutely fine. Number 8, only 9% of plastic that has ever been made has been recycled. A lot of people know me as, you know, someone who really cares about sustainability, but if I'm being honest, I find that kind of strange, because growing up I never really cared about sustainability or the environment. I was never that person growing up. It's only recently that's happened, and it was this fact I can sort of pinpoint as like the domino effect, and it was from here, learning this fact, that only 9% of plastic that's ever been made has been recycled. I believe another 12% has been incinerated, and the remaining 79% still exists on the planet today. And that fact blew my mind, because I was, you know, consuming lots of plastic, but then I was recycling it, and I thought that it was okay to buy my lunch in a plastic box as long as I put it in the recycling bin so that it could get recycled and be reused. And then I learned that that wasn't happening, and that was just ending up in landfill or in the ocean. And that made me really step back and think, why are we doing this? How are we allowing this? How is this okay? And that really got me started on my journey to caring more about the environment. Number 9, veganism is the single biggest way to reduce your personal environmental footprint. Again, this is one of those striking facts that I learned. I think those are the 2 facts that have sat with me the most. Different facts will resonate with different people, but that, for me, learning that was kind of the turning point. I was like, how can I preach about the environment when I'm not eating a plant-based diet? I watched Cowspiracy in about September of 2019 and have basically eaten a plant-based diet since. I'm not 100% vegan, but I'm like 90% vegan now, and I have been for like a year, and I have no regrets at all. I realised that I couldn't care about the environment without eating a plant-based diet based on that fact, and so that has had a big impact on my life. But It's been a positive impact. I love it. I love vegan food. I experiment with food so much more since eating a plant-based diet, and I'm very happy with my choice. Number 10, you have no obligation to your former self. They are dumber than you and they don't exist, which is a quote by Hank Green. But basically it's a reminder that we shouldn't do things just because we once wanted them. We should constantly assess what our goals are and what we're pursuing and make sure that it aligns with our current values and our current and our current beliefs. Who we are as a person and what we believe is constantly changing, and what we're doing and our actions should reflect that. You don't have to go after these goals that you once wanted. You can completely do a U-turn on your life if you realise that something else will make you happier or make you more fulfilled. Number 11, it is okay if all of you get out of your exercise routine is happiness. PE in the UK kind of teaches you to hate exercise. I think a lot of people come away from school really not liking exercise, but it's been outside of school in the last 5 years that I've really learned to love exercise. And the reason that I love exercise and that I love going to the gym is because I genuinely enjoy it. I found classes that I really enjoy and that I find really uplifting. And yeah, I've always made sure that my priority when I'm exercising is my happiness and my well-being and not my weight or how I look, and that has been the secret I found in getting myself to the gym. If I'm focused on how I look and then I don't see much progress, that's not going to be very motivating, but if I'm just focused on how I feel and how happy it makes me, then I love it. And after all, happiness should be one of our main goals in life, so it is 100% okay if you choose exercises that make you happy, even if they don't, make you super shredded. Number 12, discrimination still exists. In school, I was kind of taught the narrative that discrimination used to exist. We were taught about sexism and racism in history, but we were kind of led to believe that it no longer existed. And I don't think that's the best way to solve the problems in the world that we have right now. I don't have like a pinpoint moment in my head where I learnt these things, but I remember when I was little not really being aware that these things existed. And now I obviously realise that they are still well and alive today. Reading Everyday Sexism by Laura Bates was the book that really made me identify as a feminist. I read that book and I was like, yep, sexism is still alive and well today. And that book really did make me be like, yeah, I can definitely say I'm a feminist, whereas before I probably would have been a bit unsure about how I felt about using that label. But yeah, so I think the best way to solve these problems is to be aware that they exist and to acknowledge them and to face them. And I don't think our school system is doing us any favours by pretending that they don't exist. But just because they exist, it doesn't mean they're undefeatable, and it doesn't mean that the world is full of bad people. In my experience, I am surrounded by wonderful people who want good things, and just because these bad things exist in the world, it doesn't mean we should be hopeless. There are so many good people in the world who want so much good, and we should fight for that and protect that. Number 13, there are 5 secrets to productivity: discipline, active recall, spaced repetition, flow, and hygge. I'm going to make some content all about this, don't worry. Number 14, you cannot read enough books. Books are one of the most valuable things that we have. They help us to see different people's perspectives, whether they are fiction and non-fiction, and it's basically impossible to get too much of that. So just read as many books as you can, have your eyes opened, and learn new things. Number 15, take more notes. Take notes on the books that you read, especially non-fiction books. Take notes on documentaries. Take notes on things that you learn. Personally, my brain is like a sieve. Things go straight through, straight out. And when I was younger, I kind of just accepted that's who I was. I was like, I'm a person that has a really bad memory. And then what I realised this year is that I can just write things down. Like, I don't need to have a good memory. There are ways of improving your memory and learning different techniques for remembering things, such as active recall. But honestly, just write things down. Like, there's no shame or harm in that. And if you read a book, you'll get so much more value out of it if you take notes, and you'll be able to constantly refer to those notes really easily. You won't have to reread the book when you've forgotten it. You can just check through your notes quickly, and that'll only take you like 10 minutes. Number 16, store everything digitally. I wish I had done this from a much younger age, but now I store basically everything digitally. So all of the notes that I make for university, all of the notes that I take on books and documentaries, all of my organisation, just everything, just do it all digitally, because that way you will never lose it. And if you do it well, it means that you can, get to sync to your phone and your iPad, and then you'll have it with you everywhere at any time. Number 17, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. And that's a Chinese proverb, but it is very true. If you want to start a YouTube channel, just do it. There is never going to be a right time. Write the book that you want to write, start training for a marathon, just do whatever it is that you want to do. The perfect time will never exist, and if you're waiting to feel ready, the chances are that you're never going to feel ready. You're better off just starting and learning while you go. The fastest way to learn is to do it. So just start. The first like 5 attempts of whatever it is you're trying to do are probably going to be awful, but then you'll get the hang of it, and then you'll be good, and then you'll be like, and then you'll feel in a place where you're ready to start, which is the paradox, you know. When you start, then you'll get that feeling of, oh, this is like the feeling I had of like, oh, now I'm ready to do it. You can really easily get that just by starting it and just accepting that you're going to be awful at it to begin with. Number 18, You Have More Friends Than You Know, which is a song from Glee, but it is just so true. Whenever you're feeling lonely and alone, you will be surprised by how many people would love a call from you or a text from you. Just reach out to people, you know, even when you feel like you're all alone, so many people love you and want to help you. And whether you're in, you know, having a really awful time and you need someone to be there, or whether you just want to chat with someone, don't be afraid to reach out to people. They are probably just busy too. Like, they don't hate you, they don't not want to hear from you. They're probably just busy and they just haven't made the time. You really, you know, so many people love you, I promise. Just never forget that. I say that as I'm surrounded by a huge pile of presents, which has really been, this year has been really difficult, you know, and to see this huge pile of presents sat here for my birthday tomorrow has been really emotional, because it's a reminder of, you know, just how many people love me, even though this year has been really difficult. I'm surrounded by great people, and there is so much love in my life, and I have to constantly remind myself of that. Oh, never forget that, please. Whew. Number 20, journaling is always a good idea. I never regret journaling, and I always wish I had journaled more. It comes and goes through stages in my life. I've hardly journaled this year, which is kind of ironic. I feel like 2020 should have been the year that like I fully embraced journaling, but actually just with everything going on, it kind of made me stop journaling. But it's never a bad idea. Always journal more. If you ever have a thought in the back of your head that's like, maybe I should journal, act on it. I highly recommend it. I personally enjoy journaling digitally because I can like keep up with my thoughts when I type, whereas if I'm writing in a notebook, it's so slow and it just takes me forever. So I personally enjoy doing it digitally. But I also do it, you know, on paper sometimes. But as I say, I never regret it. I always wish I'd done it more. I really recommend giving it a try. You don't have to write huge pages detailing your life in detail. You can just write about whatever you're stressed about. You can just sit down and be like, what am I stressed about? And you can just write about that, and it will help you so much. If you find you have some bad feelings, if you're like envious or jealous of someone, you can write about it and be like, why am I feeling like this? And just take the time to sit down and reflect on it, and you'll probably be surprised by what you find. Or you can just, like, if you don't enjoy writing long paragraphs, you can write lists or bullet points. Write a list of what you're stressed about. Write a list of things that you're grateful for. Write a list of things that you're looking forward to. Just having that on paper is really helpful, in my opinion. And number 21, we're going to end on the biggest cliche ever, but that is that time is valuable. It is so true. Life is kind of fast sometimes, kind of slow other times. You know, I heard this quote that said, why are we always saying that life is really short when it's the longest thing we'll ever know? And that really resonated with me. You know, you have time, life is long, but also you only get to experience each stage of your life for so long. For example, I'm in university now, and that time is going by so fast. The fact that I'm like almost halfway through my 3rd year of university is absolute madness. Where has the time gone? And I'm not gonna get, you know, these opportunities and these experiences again. So I need to make the most of them. So, you know, say yes to more things, take more risks, spend more time with loved ones. But equally, because time is valuable, protect your own alone time. Make sure you make time for yourself. Make sure you make time to, you know, just sit in bed doing some colouring in, or make time to spend with your best friends. Even though you see them all the time, that time is really valuable. So yeah, just remember that time is valuable and spend it intentionally. Really, you know, make sure that you're not just going with the flow. Make sure that you're really doing what you want to be doing with your time. Okay, that's everything I have to say. I hope this video was insightful. I hope that you've, you know, taken some lessons or advice away from this, and I will hopefully see you very soon. If you want to learn more about me, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Louise Does Life. Thank you for watching.